Hello, you are welcome to Physio Diaries GH YouTube channel. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the whole foot, the anatomy. We'll consider the bones that make up the foot, and then we look at some other things that we need to know that are very essential when it comes to our practice as a physiotherapist. So the foot is a complex structure. The foot, as we see on the screen, has a lot of components. Even aside the bones that we are seeing, the foot has other structures that come together to make the foot that we see, and also enable us to be able to carry out our daily activities while we'll be walking around and all that. So the foot actually have about 26 bones. 26 bones. These 26 bones are not just hanging in space, but there are other structures that are holding them in place. We have the ligaments, we have tendons, but note that ligaments hold or connect bone to a bone, and so all these bones that we are seeing, they are held together by ligaments. However, we have tendons also all over the place. Wherever we have muscle is attached to a bone by a tendon. Right. So just as I said, the foot have about 33 joints. You see, the foot have about 33 joints, 26 bones, even aside the articulate bones. I mean, bones that articulate with the foot, talking about the tibia and the fibula. So excluding the tibia and the fibula, we have about 26 bones and 33 joints. Okay, so now we have that in mind. We also have movements that take place in the foot. So we have plantar flexion, and we have dorsiflexion, and we have eversion and eversion. Eversion and inversion. You understand? So I'm not going to be concentrating much on some of the labeling because we want to really grab the components, the arrangement of each of the bones, so that when we have any condition that relates to the bone, then we can be able to do our assessment very well. So I'm not concentrating much on this. Let's look at some of the components. Okay, so this is one of the samples that I had. You see the bones. Okay, we'll look at all these bones and their names, and then we take it from there. Okay, another one too is this. We don't want to concentrate much. I want us to be looking at certain things. Okay, very well. All right, so you see the ligaments that I was talking about. Yes, even with this one, we don't see the ligaments, but then we see the tendons. So just as I said, tendons connect muscles to bone. And so we have muscles coming all the way from this side and connecting to the phalanges. You understand? Yes, and we have interior, that's intrinsic muscles. So these muscles here, they are intrinsic. Okay, yeah, they are also connecting to bones of the foot. But before we come to an end, we will get to know all these. Okay, so some of the movements you see. So when you are moving, these are some of the movements that take place. You understand? You see there's joints here, so it allows for this movement to happen. The same way when we are walking, we see that. Okay, we also have this movement, eversion and inversion. Eversion and inversion. We'll get to understand all these. All right. So you see this muscle here, that is the calf muscle. So the calf muscle extends all the way there and connects its tendon to the calcaneus. But we've not started yet, so I don't want to mention about that. Okay, so this is a typical demonstration of plantar flexion and dorsiflexion. So when the foot moves downwards, when the phalanges pointed downwards, it means that we are performing plantar flexion. But when it comes up, it is dorsiflexion. Okay, another one too, inversion and eversion. So let's note well, this is eversion. When it comes laterally, it is eversion, and when it goes inside, that is inversion. So note that. Okay, so this is inversion and eversion. Inversion and eversion. Okay. Right, so let's progress. But before we come to the naming of the bones of the foot, because that is the main focus for this particular video, note that the foot is divided into three. We have the forefoot, we have the hind foot, and the midfoot. So the forefoot is this one. You see, this part forms the forefoot, and the midfoot composed of these bones. So they are the middle, in other sense, middle part of the foot, and the front part of the foot, and the hind is the posterior, the back part. So these ones. Okay, so now let's look at certain thing here. Let me see. Okay, so as I said, we have the hind foot, that is the back, the midfoot, this one, and the forefoot. You understand? Now let's get back and start the naming. All right, I want us to use this one so that later we can progress to some other ones to look at it very well. Now this is the medial part and this is the lateral part. So the medial part have the great toe. Okay, so use the great toe to be able to determine the medial part of the foot, and the small toe for the lateral part. Okay, now we are going to use that to guide our naming. So this particular bone that articulates with the tibia, this is the tibia bone and this is the fibula. So this particular bone that articulates with the tibia is called talus. So this whole bone here, so the talus, to be able to identify the talus, you need to know the bone it articulates. So when you descend downwards, we have the navicular bone. This is the navicular bone. So the talus is this whole bone here, and the talus articulates with the tibia proximally and articulates with the cuboid distally. Okay, now there is a bone here, this particular bone, that particular bone is the calcaneus. It's quite unfortunate that this very image is not showing the calcaneus wall, so let's progress a bit. Let's see. Okay, this one too will not show as well. Okay, so you see this is the calcaneus. So the calcaneus articulates with the cuboid. Okay, so that small bone that we were seeing, supposing this whole bone is facing us, would have seen this very calcaneus part very small, you understand, but it's a huge bone here. That is the heel bone. So let's get back. We have three bones here. These bones together, they are called cuneiforms. Now we have medial cuneiform, we have lateral cuneiform, and we have intermediate. So that's why I said we should note the lateral and medial wall. Now this bone is called medial cuneiform, and this one is intermediate cuneiform, and this one is lateral cuneiform, because that is pointed to the lateral side of the foot. Okay, so I don't want to waste much time. This video is getting too long. So note that with the hind foot, we have bones like the tibia, the fibula, and the talus and the calcaneus forming the hind foot, and the midfoot, we have the navicular, we have the cuneiforms, and we have the cuboid. You understand? And the forefoot forms these bones, the phalanges. Understand? And we have joints. Note the joints that we said we have about 33 joints forming the foot. You see the whole thing. Yeah, progressing, we want to look at the name of these joints here. Now, these joints, note that these bones can be called tarsal bones. Tarsal bones. And these ones are metatarsals. So together, when we are naming these joints, we will say tarsal-metatarsal joint. Tarsal-metatarsal joint, because that is a joint formed by a tarsal bone and a metatarsal bone. You understand? So we have tarsal-metatarsal joints here. Now we have the phalanges. So these are the phalanges. We have the proximal and the distal. So this is proximal bone and this is a distal bone. So we have interphalangeal joint. So we have proximal interphalangeal joint here and distal interphalangeal joint. We have proximal interphalangeal joint here and we have so this is proximal interphalangeal joint, this is intermediate, and this is distal. You understand? Because this one have 3 joints. The same thing applies to this side. So basically, this is what I want us to look at concerning the foot. Yeah, as a student or anatomy student or somebody studying anatomy, these are some of the things that you can use to be able to grab the knowledge concerning the foot, so that you can know the kind of bones that make up the foot and some other structures that you need to know, so that when you come across a case, then your mind will know which of the structures that you need to pay much attention to. Yeah, so meet me in my next video as we discuss a lot about anatomy of some of the structures that we have in our body. If this video is helpful or you have any question, kindly leave it in the comment section. We'll come back to give you a response to that.